Hi, how are you? This is Damaris Maria Grossman, and this is the Mindfully Integrative Show. And today we have an amazing mindful chat with Susan Schartz. She is a Jungian analytical psychologist, and she's here to kind of chat with you about her story and how she's helping others in her field and what she's done to make impact and help others and yourself. So take a listen, and thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
I appreciate it.
Yes. So you mentioned something about a fun fact.
I did. Yep. So I usually say a little fun fact for people to
Yes.
kind of talk about.
Well, I don't really know how to fill in a fun fact, but
Okay.
but let me put it this way, that the exploration of one's psyche, I wouldn't say is fun, but it certainly is intriguing. And it
Yes.
keeps one going. So the questions keep going and evolving, and one becomes creative and then even more creative, and the world opens up. So to
Mm.
me, that's kind of a strange definition of fun, but it actually is.
There could be so many things that unravel
Mm,
within that. So I can
abs-
only imagine.
yes. And so within the unraveling is who we are uniquely as a person, where we come from, transgenerational issues, how we are going to emerge into being all that we are, issues also of the body, because I think psychological exploration has to include our physical self.
Mm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh,
Mm.
absolutely. They're so connected. The mind body are are just connected
It,
without a doubt.
exactly. And I mentioned that also because of what you do too.
Mhm.
But it is something that we forget about too often, that we really need to pay attention consciously to what's going on physically. And if we don't, it might come through our dreams. We might get,
Interesting. I
uh,
didn't even think of that. Okay.
yes, yes. I remember a long time ago, I worked with someone who had a fibromyalgia, very difficult. And this person consulted her dreams and said, what should I eat? How should I exercise? What should I do? And the dreams came through. They told her healthy food, what to stay away from. Usually, dreams are not that concrete, but they were really very encouraging of her health and her well being. I'll never forget it. It was so profound. And
Mm.
it's not magical, but it's something that we can really call forth because the answers live inside of us if we
Yeah.
just listen. If we just listen.
We listen. I mean, I see that in just in a general meditation moments, but to take it into this realm of the dream world and the conscious and subconscious, I think that's just so profound. How did you get it? So, please explain to me what a Jungian analytical
Yes.
psychologist is, but I don't know that area.
The difference with an analytical approach is usually it's more in depth.
Hmm.
So it's not just a few sessions. It's
Okay.
really unpeeling. Really, you could almost say, and I don't mean this in a religious sense, going to your soul, like
Yeah,
going
your
to the
source,
core.
to your
Yeah,
inner
yeah,
self, whatever that is for you.
yeah, whatever you call it. And
Right.
so the analytical part is peeling off conscious, getting to unconscious, uniting them, learning
Mhm.
how to pay attention. And it's not quick.
I
And
know I would doubt it not to. I would hope it not to be. If it
it
was quick,
isn't.
then I would be worried.
That's exactly right. But our world is a quick world. Get
Mm.
it? 3 seconds. If you don't answer the text, something's wrong.
Right.
But but you see, our psyche doesn't answer in 3 seconds.
Mm-mm. It
No,
does not.
it doesn't. And so
Mm-mm.
it says, okay, just take your time, learn what else are you doing in your life, and really get a handle on yourself so you can have rewarding relationships with yourself and others. You can be as creative as you want your entire life. Don't stop when you're old. And and so it's got how would I say, to me, it's like an accordion. It just
Mm.
keeps unfolding. And that is analytical psychology. Jung believed very much in myths, rituals, symbols, synchronicities. They're all around us all the time. And if you just pay attention, the clue is right there. It's right there.
That
So
makes
it's
sense.
yeah, it's also rather spiritually based. Again, not religious,
No,
but
it sounds beautiful. It
yeah,
makes sense to me and a very
you got it.
yogi person and mindful person that I
Okay.
am.
Yes,
So I can see the expansionness of the consciousness or just people's changing their thought pattern, right?
yes, exactly. Exactly.
That must be a challenging area of psychology because people are doing that in psychology and the therapies, but you're taking it to a different kind of pattern level. What got you into this? Not just psychology, but into let's first talk what got you into therapy.
Well, I'm one of those people, this doesn't happen to everyone, but I just kept getting degrees in,
Oh, okay.
in the exact same,
Keep learning.
I kept learning in the exact same field. And one led to another, to another, to another. And I just stayed, what should I say, devoted to this one particular aspect. And I just honed it over
Mhm.
and over and over again because to me it's rewarding.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What have you found for yourself that has helped?
Well, I'll say I would not be the same person if I had not done this work, quite seriously. And everyone that I know who's an analyst as well, I mean, other people also, but when they've done really deep work, like you said, for yourself, yogi, and really mindful, that your cells just benefit and change. And it's almost like they keep on wanting that water.
They do. They get thirsty for sure. I think when you start to become in tune, you know when you're out of tune. And sometimes it's frustrating. Sometimes I have to say on my end, it's great, but then when you know you're out of tune, you're like, oh, I need a tune up. Oh.
Exactly.
Um, you
Exactly.
know, but in realm and like, non-joking way, when you're trying to kind of be in tune for these clients or your patients, um, what have you found to be the most helpful for them?
Well, anything I ever ask of people, I expect of myself.
Mm.
So I always ask people, because this is part of the psyche, how do you spend your day? How do you exercise? How do you eat? How do you sleep? Very basic things. Do you pay attention to your dreams? What are your relationships like? Um, are you forgetting about yourself?
It's so important. I mean, I'm literally making a podcast of like mindful ways every day. And it's like these little simple parts of your life are being forgotten. Maybe it's because of technology, maybe like you said, the quickness, and we are not slowing down, we are not listening, we're not kind of looking in. And your work must be endless because I think that there is every single person needs some part of this.
Well, you are absolutely right, but not everyone sees it the way you do, and they
Mhm.
want to skim over the essence. I think that
The work.
the work, exactly. But
It's work. I mean,
it's good.
I didn't have a great morning, but I'm saying I'm being like, my morning wasn't great, but I can either say I can accept it and re-breathe and recenter, or I can go into another direction.
Exactly. And I would say when I have those kinds of mornings, because we all do,
Right,
I
right.
go, well, was I supposed to go off course?
Mm.
Is that something that I needed to do because was I too focused over here and I really needed to look at something else?
Oh, that's another way of perspective that you're helping me there. Maybe it was today.
Yeah,
Kind of.
exactly right. Exactly.
Mhm.
What I do find though is that so many people, when I say, well, how do you wake up in the morning? And you said it. The first thing is they go to their phone or they go to
They
some
do.
kind of device. They
My phone
don't.
is usually not in the same room of where I'm sleeping for
Mm,
me.
mm-mm.
But I try to make that habit. That's part of my ritual of not doing it. But I used to. I used to have it all that on.
Yeah, but then we can't listen to ourselves.
Oh, very true. Very true.
And we are just fill ourselves with somebody else, and we don't know how to get filled inside. And
We are so much involved in the swiping
yes,
instead of like really cleaning the inside swipes, right? Like the brain swipes and the just the thoughts, like the real thoughts.
I agree with you. But you just said real thoughts. I think a lot of people don't know if their thoughts are their own real thoughts or they have adopted somebody else's thoughts.
Oh, that's a whole other
Oh,
conversation.
yeah, isn't it? Isn't
That's a
it?
whole other, yeah.
Yeah, and that is not being mindful of who they are. It is somehow feeling like you have to fit into something else that might really be adverse to your being.
No, you bring up a good point. I was listening to this other individual, and she's not a therapist, and whatever. I just listened and observed her information, and she touts the information of, oh, our thoughts are our feelings, but I feel like that's said numerous times, like your thoughts expressed your feelings, but she, was trying to state that what we feel is changing our behavior, which is true. But I think what happens is that all of us are not willing to sit with the truths, or we're swayed, like you're saying, from all of these outside influences, whether negative or positive.
You're right, but look at what you said about truth. So, whose truth? Is it
Mm,
our truth? Is it a truth that we were told we should think
mm,
is truth? Is it
yes.
a truth that we should question? Are we are we given truth? How do we differentiate? How do we discern what is right for us if we're following somebody else's truth? It
Right.
it all comes back. If you're conscious to yourself, you're going to be conscious to other people. You,
Mm,
right? You won't
yeah,
step
you're
on
present.
them.
You're there.
Yes,
Or you're real. I don't know if it's real or authentic. You're presenting what is needed for that time, I guess.
exactly. But it also brings in when you said about real, it's not so easy to
Is it
be.
okay? Maybe I'm just using the word to
No, 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 no. It's a good word. I think it's just not so easy for people to establish their own realness.
mm,
It's because you have to really work it, like you said,
you got to work at it.
you got to work at it.
You do. And you have to be okay with the imperfections, or the things that are not great, or the things that are good. But yeah, I think yes, there's an observation there that, as I see clients and patients, there is not, yeah, it's that accepting whether it's good or bad.
Yes, I think there's one other thing as well. Jungian psychology is based on something called the process of individuation.
Hmm.
So that means being an individual. It does not mean not relating to other people. It means being related, but being related from your real individual self. It's like
Mm,
having the courage to express yourself, you could say, in a certain style that might not be everyone's style, but it's yours. And
right.
so do it. And people would feel so much better if they let themselves be their individual self, connected to other people, but really reflecting who they actually are.
What do you think is on average for you, or the most prominent blockage for these individuals of why they're not able to get to their real self?
Well,
Or do you
many
see a
things.
pattern, like something that comes up pretty frequent?
Well, I think we look, first of all, well, there's many things. One is
Mm-hmm.
our culture. We
Mm,
live in a culture which does not encourage interior work. It encourages a few sessions, and then that's it. Band-Aid's off. Band-Aid is on. End of story. Get over it, right? Get over it. Way too quick. And the other thing is it takes a lot of courage to really face oneself, and so people don't do it alone. It's too hard. You always need some kind of a guide or somebody with to not to encourage, but to be alongside and to struggle along with.
Yeah.
Right. And so that the therapist or the analyst is changed in the process as well. If you don't grow and you're not open to different ideas, different thoughts, different ways, expanding beyond your own known world, you don't help anyone. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yes, yes. And I think that because it is a process and not such an easy one, a lot of people go, you know what, I think not. But I think it so enriches one's being and the world that, and your mind, your soul, your body, why not do it? You can't.
Yeah. How long are usually your clients and your patients or, individuals with you? Like 6 months or so? 6 months to a year?
No, quite a bit longer.
Oh.
Quite a bit longer. And what I do is I'm always interested and amazed. People start into the process. They have no idea what it is.
Mm.
Then they are into it and they want to know more and more and more. And so that what started out as a little issue, little problem,
Right.
actually has got depths to it that they didn't know when they want to know more.
Oh, goodness. I
Oh,
can imagine. I
yes.
can imagine what my depths are. Some of them I think I've got, but some of them I don't.
Yes, of course, of course. Thank goodness that we all have to face the mystery of what we don't know. But actually, most people, when they do any kind of an analytic process, no matter where in the world, actually, it's usually longer. It's a longer process.
Okay.
Because
Very
it's,
understandable.
yeah, because it's more thorough.
So how can those reach you?
Yes, my
And you
website.
are an author also. We didn't talk about your book. Let's talk about your book.
Yes. So I have a book, and then I have another one coming out next year as well. And I'll link
myself, hopefully to be done soon.
Are you really?
Yeah.
Wonderful. What is it on?
So it is everyday kind of strategies in mindful thinking. So
Wonderful.
yeah.
Perhaps you'll let me know when it comes out.
Yeah, so there's different and then I'm trying to do a collaborative book actually with the speakers on this podcast. So it's
that is great. That's great.
It's all the different authors and their stories.
Wonderful. So I can be reached at my website, which is www.susanschwartz, SCHWARTZ, PhD.com. And my book is called, the first one that came out in 2020 from Routledge is The Absent Father Effect on Daughters, Father Desire, Father Wounds. And that really goes into the dreams, the analytic process, and the issue is
not having a father.
Yeah.
Father
figure, either absent emotionally, absent physically, absent in many different ways, and how it affects the child. I focus on daughters, but yeah. And I bring in lots of different fairy tales and stories and people's life stories. And then the one next year, also by Routledge, is on the as if personality. The as if personality. You said it earlier in a different way. It would be, can I be real? So the as if person is the one who acts okay, but underneath carries a lot of sorrow, distress, hidden from the world, but a marvelous performer, usually very accomplished.
They usually have a lot of demons or negative or positive, a lot of things that they have unresolved.
That's exactly right. So the two are rather linked but they have a different focus.
Right. And then if people don't address it on a daily, I mean, I am not a therapist, but as a provider of care with patients and clients, I see that people need to address all. I mean, as I had obsessed over this integrative health component, if we don't address different parts of our health needs, we
Yes,
will not be whole.
that is
And,
true.
and if we don't take and look within, like you're saying, we will suffer. And I mean, suffer in a good, understanding the suffer. I could tell people I think suffer may not be the right. It's
No, I
suffering
think
isn't a negative, it's suffering, understanding your
yeah, I agree with you.
process.
I don't think suffering is a negative either. I think it's a difficult
Right,
feeling, but we have to suffer ourselves to
right.
grow. And
Mm-hmm.
if we do, maybe we can save our climate and our world and
Right.
right. So it goes, it's not just a
A one
one-on-one,
thing.
it's bigger.
It is.
Yes.
Because it's a small cell, to the energy, as I talk about, the energy is not created, it's not destroyed, it's here, right? We're
Yeah.
in this world, and it's like, oh, we have to look at it more than just one thing.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So, would you like to leave the audience a small thought or mindful moment for
Oh,
that you'd like to advise?
yes. I would like to invite people to see what their dream is telling them tonight and just contemplate it. You don't have to understand it, but
Do
just
you write it down as soon as you wake up?
yes. Yes,
Okay,
you write it down when you wake up, just as something, if they haven't ever done it, it opens the world in a different way. And so it's a thought to leave with.
very good. The thought to lead. Love it. Well, thank you so much for being on the show and taking your time and I can't wait for those to reach out to you or for them to know more about you and your upcoming book. Congrats on that.
Thank
As if such a
Yes,
cool title. And I look forward to, further collaborations. So
that would be super. Thank you. What a wonderful morning.
it was a wonderful day, and you have a wonderful day. And those listening, make sure you find a mindful way every day. Thanks.